Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Spy Party Major League Grand Finals between Nebula and Rov. My name is Taboshi. I'm joined today by Pwned Noob,
Howdy, howdy.
and we've got Corvus Mallory as our host and observer. So, the cream of the crop, the peak of Grandmaster Spy Party. Let's talk about Rov and Nebula.
Yeah, getting started, I believe, with Nebula, who did win the division. You'll see one blip on there, a loss to Obi Rights. But look at the scores otherwise. 9-5, 9-4, 9-3, 9-6. These are dominant performances. There's one I didn't mention there in the middle, and that's a tie against Rav. We have no victor in this match previously, and it's going to be a long one if that's true here moving forward. It would be if we go into overtime. The big stat here that you'll see, uh, the sniper is impressive, but it's the spy that really brings Nebula above everybody else. A 44% at the top level of Spy Party is not unheard of, but is ridiculous.
Yeah, that kind of a win percentage on the spy side is pretty insane. And if you look at Nebula's um, past experience as well, you can see they've been around for a little while and they've been playing extremely well, not just in this tournament, but in many of the previous ones as well.
Yeah, that total game says fourth on it with 21K. But of active Spy Party players, the only player that's getting anywhere close is Obi Rights, and I don't think it's particularly close. That's just a ton of games, especially compared to their opponent.
And as seems to be a common theme amongst the extremely high echelon of Spy Party, balcony generally avoided.
Yeah, when you're as good as Nebula and a coin flip, as we call it with Balcony, though, there definitely is some skill to it. When you can otherwise just win half your spy games and snipe every game, why would you take a coin flip? You only want weighted coins when you're as good as Nebula.
This is very true.
Just one last thing on this screen. Look at that top right. We got 4 years of medals. We're not into 2024 just yet. This won't be a new year, but I would say this is slightly more prestigious than the Hidden Cup 3. This is going to be the top level of definitely 2023 and perhaps ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Hidden Cup, that being said, is nothing to scoff at. There are some very strong players that enter into that.
Yeah, I have a suspicion it might have been this match. It was either Nebula versus Rov or Nebula versus Minirek in the final. I mean, again, both top top level players. So, moving on to Rov, though, I'm curious here. Another loss to Opie Rights, but unlike Nebula, Rov did have the opportunity to play Opie Rights in the semifinal. Nebula went through directly to this final, while Rov had to play in the semifinal and was able to avenge, obviously, by the fact that they are here. Otherwise, I mean, pointing out same sort of things here. Look at these blowouts: 9-3, 9-4 against Sauerkraut. It's just the two ties here, one against Nebula and one against Minirek, that put Rov in that semifinal in the first place. And good job to his opponents, because taking down an opponent that has 78% sniper rate is a tough feat to even get a tie.
Yeah, absolutely. 35% win rate on the spy side is still fairly good, but much more in keeping with the sort of thing you expect to see
Hmm.
from these players again when they're playing against top level snipers. So that just goes to show you how ridiculous that Nebula's spy win rate is. It's a whole 10% over Nebula.
Yeah, and
Over
if you
Rav, I mean.
yeah, 1% on the sniper, Nebula's spy rate. If you're looking at the rates in this particular tournament, Nebula is going to be the favorite. And if you get tricked by the top right, that shows that the medals have only been second and third recently. You're missing one big stat. Look at that Glicker rating. That's more or less just rankings based on your wins, yeah, ELO equivalent, and it's first for a reason. Rov, when it came to the beginning of the season, with the predictions, Not a clear favorite anymore, but still a favorite, and it's just based on record. This season hasn't really done anything to say otherwise. When your only loss is 7-9 and you've already avenged that loss, Rov has been playing as well as always, which is to say, dominant.
And when you've got Aquarium as one of your most liked venues, it means you've certainly got some interesting shenanigans under your belt.
Yeah, I'm curious with the most disliked venues, with more balconies showing on here, uh, if either player is going to break the seal and open up the secret venue, the one that neither player really wants. But if one thinks they might have an advantage on it, it is definitely an edge that you could have in this final.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've got some head-to-head stats here. We've got the match history. They've come together a few times in the past. Nebula has had the better of it in the earlier years, but more recently, and especially in this tournament, they've been really very evenly matched.
Yeah, I was mentioning in the pre-chat that we were having before this, where I had a suspicion that in games where there was a blowout, that it would be Rov to win, because Rov is just so consistent. If there's no real tilt, if Nebula's not having a good day, Rov will just destroy you. But in the close games, and you can see it here in the stats, Nebula is clutching it out, and I think that's a large part just due to having the spicier spy is when it's 7-7 and you have 2 games to play, give me the guy who has the good spy. That's a guy who can win that last game, uh, and has the mindset to do so. Rov is definitely going to want to come off to a good start in this, because if he gets behind, Nebula has shown this particular league that he doesn't particularly want to let people get back into it.
All right, with all that being said, let's see what happens with Balcony as we get into the drafts. We've got Nebula as the higher seed, so they are going to wind up with the extra single. Bans on Veranda from Nebula, and Balcony from Rov. So Rov doesn't like the venue enough that they decided to make sure of it.
Yeah, it's curious, and perhaps Nebula wouldn't have banned it or picked it, and then Rov has just more or less wasted a ban. But I don't think either of these players have a venue that they particularly dislike. I think Rov's going to be quite happy to, for example, play in the doubled aquarium by Nebula. Uh, Very happy to play doubled library where he expects to get 2 sniper wins. And on Rov's double side, we see some more 50-50 style maps. Modern definitely gives a lot of opportunities for the spy win. Tayen definitely does too. Ballroom is always been traditionally 50-50 at almost every skill level. This has got a lot of potential for spy wins, which isn't necessarily always the case when Rov is one of the players in the match.
Doubled Tayen, doubled Aquarium is going to make for a pretty wild set.
Yep, and it's going to be back to back too. You could definitely see here once we get through that set of Aquarium and Tayen, we'll see if somebody has run away with it or not. Because there's definitely there's a potential everywhere for spy wins. We're not playing Veranda, for example, which did get banned. To note, the players have already gotten started, so we can jump in whenever we're ready. Are we good to go here, Corvus? Tobo, if there's any tradition we gotta let you do, it's count us in. I've been stealing it for years. Please.
Let's get this thing underway. We've got Nebula starting things off on the spy side versus Rov Sniper on Library. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, goodness. Spy Party's been going on for so long, and given this is the final, I suspect that we're gonna have some new faces on YouTube and whatnot. Happy to have you. We've been doing this for a very long time, and I'm really happy to be able to join Taboshi here, who is our classic caster. Uh, you are a centerpiece of our community, despite the fact you don't play much, Tobo.
No, I don't, but thank you very, very much for the introduction. We've got an 18% on the flirt to start off the festivities, which is not a very good one, but with a little bit of shuffling, we re-enter the conversation with our seduction target and should be able to get a slightly better one in very short order. Second
Yeah.
flirt comes off here. This one, a green test to bring us up to 62%. So not in easy 3 flirt range, but still, those first 2 flirts were fast enough that they basically count as just the one anyways.
Yeah, and you can see in the top left, for any new people showing up, the mission completion. For these sort of players, especially on library, they don't want to give the game away too quickly. You're not usually going to see what we call a hardtail, so like purloin or swap early, because they're just going to get shot. Usually those are done later in the game. We're often going to see this seduce target with the ST, seduction target, or contact double agent, which we often call DA. uh, as the first missions, just because they don't get you shot. There's no true like showing of a mission.
Yeah, especially not hardtails that leave a trace, like the list being gone after the purloin or a statue being different after a swap. If you're going to do a hardtail early on in the game, it's probably going to be something that doesn't actually leave a physical trace like Bug the Ambassador. That said, back into this conversation we go at quite a distance this time. So even though we hit a green test on the third flirt, it is still only up to 91%. So we're a little bit behind the clock here as we tick down towards 2.5 minutes to play. Nebula just doesn't have that much progress to speak of.
Yeah, we mentioned the 8 missions. We have to do 5 of them, which is a lot. There is a ninth mission, the secret mission, which is time ad, and time ads are about as good as they're ever going to be on any venue when it comes to library. Nebula is very close to the back window, which is the most conspicuous place to do a time ad. Otherwise, we're gonna need to combo a few missions together. Maybe a banana bread with a purloin, for example. Inspect and a swap at the same time. Those sort of ideas. Taking an innocent drink is not moving towards progress.
Yeah, that's a very weird decision. You can't do anything else with your hands when you've got a drink in them, so it's going to slow Nebula down quite a bit, and that's not something you want when you're already behind the clock. We do have the one mission done at this point. Flirt is in the books. Although this is a very good position next to the ambassador if we're going to try to get a bug off. We're not in range to violate the ambassador's personal space, but we are in range to hit the standing bug.
Yeah, I love to call this the golden range because you can stand here for 30 seconds, and the only reason that you can't do this bug, well, there's two. One, the ambassador can leave
Fake
naturally,
contact. And the bug! There it is! Fake
and
contact to distract, waiting for Rov to go do some lighting again on the innocent people at the party while he picks up this bug on the ambassador. I'm surprised you didn't just wait for a Rov rotation over to the other side of the venue because he was doing that fairly consistently. But that's how things wound up this time around. We've got the bug done. We've got the 2 inspects. So
yeah,
a lot more progress, but probably not enough. We're down to 40 seconds.
there was some interesting laser play when Nebula did the banana bread bug and then walked away. Rov did put the laser on Nebula 2 times and a third time to highlight at the statue. I have a suspicion that we have quite a bit of heat, not just because we have 3 and then 2 half missions done. If there's a fingerprintable statue that we
Yes,
do
there
haven't
is.
finished, and I believe this is
It's
it. The
that
ambassador
one. I
was here
don't
when
think
we were
it's
here.
that one. It's gonna have to
Okay,
be a swap. It was
the
the middle
laser
one
is
that had the
over our
print on it.
shoulder.
There's the swap. It is a green test, so it's not going to go right away, but we're going to hang at 0 for this. He's just switching over to the middle one. He's just gonna take the print.
The clock is stopped though.
There's
It's
the
going to
print.
pause.
The swap is not going to come off.
He checks the list. It's still there.
But Rov can't find the right target, and Nebula on the spy side picks up game number 1.
I just pumped my fist 3 times. What a way to start a final. Nebula finding the fingerprint during the like weird post overtime. Um, and
I
in
want
this
to
sort of
talk about
situation,
this ending because this was incredible.
yeah. So when a situation gets put where there's no beeping, there's really 3 things that you're looking at. It's a pending swap statue, a pending list take, or a very well timed green time ad. Nebula pens the green swap statue, and then shifts over to the fingerprintable statue, making a very confusing situation for Rav. And given the coming in, this is your first game of the set, given the nerves that come with this being a big final, Rav is not able to find it. But the idea that Nebula was able to find this is a ton of just like solid nerves, just
Yeah.
holding down the fort.
Another thing that makes this play really incredible is going for the green swap on a different statue to hang the clock at 0. Not only does that make the sniper look for things other than the fingerprint as the last mission to get done, but when you slip over to the center statue to get the print done, you're too close to the statue you've green swapped to call another AI in to swap that statue. So that statue's never getting swapped while you're here.
Yeah, and two last things. One, somebody who is actually doing a fingerprint, and Seek did get shot. And so, and the reason why that's important is we were doing more or less the same thing that Seek is. We're getting a fingerprint, but the way that we played the game very slowly, to and did that the whole game beyond like the bug banana bread play, meant that we weren't at the top of the list, and that's why we're able to get away with the play. If we had more heat, we just die for that, no matter how clever it is.
On to the next one. Rov getting ready to step into the spy side of what's usually a very difficult venue for the spy against Nebula's sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, I have a suspicion that we're not going to spend so much time after the next game, just because that was such a play. But we'll find out if it's going to be because of Rob's greatness or Nebula's solidness. Classic
So
opening here. Let's go.
a bit of a longer distance to go to get to this first flirt, but also a little bit closer. Not a lot closer, mind you. It's still not going to be the flirt that you want to see, but definitely in a bit better range. Green test this time brings us up to 37% off the first flirt.
Yeah, which is so like you get 34% for being a close white, and you're able to do 3 flirts with that. So 37% with the green is going to be more or less equivalent.
Best possible flirt if you're really close on a green test is 51%. So you can get it done in 2 if you're on top of your action tests. Worst possible is 17% on a really distant white, which is always just sad.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat here, and it's a lot of familiars, a lot of people who are in the league, but it's really nice to see new faces. Welcome to SpyParty. It's really surprising how this game is such a good spectator sport, though.
Yeah,
It,
absolutely. There's the second flirt coming off, just waiting in the conversation here until timer runs out. This one was a white test, and because of the distance, we've only made it to 63%. And again, because close white test is 34%, that's not enough to get it done in 3 without hitting a green test on the last flirt.
we do know from here that 37% is good enough, because it is what we got in the first, though. So if Rob does stay here for another 45 seconds,
I don't know,
we'll
that's a
get there.
lot of time spent without getting MHLs done.
So this is Rov's prerogative. Rov, as a player, is very willing to start the game slowly,
Well,
and
they do exactly that. They wait for yet another timer flirt and they hit the green on it. So 2 greens, 1 white gets the flirt done from a distance.
yeah, as a result of playing slowly, I think Rov's potential to win a ton of spy games is just limited. Nebula, with his plays, could win every spy game, where I don't think that's necessarily the case for Rov. Rov is a bit more reliant on the AI and the cast doing what he needs them to do. But it does result in always getting a few wins. You're always going to be putting the opponent in a ton of stress when your games go long, and you're still consistently finishing missions. It's not like Rov, even though he only has 2 minutes left, is planning on timing out. I
Banana
do
bread.
suspect we'll see something. A banana bed split here is gonna do just that.
And a print at
Ooh.
the yellow bookcase as well. This is where we wound up after the banana split. And that is going to be mission progress. Taking the book out, we might be able to try some transfer microfilm shenaniganry here. Usually what you would do is you would bring this book from one side of the venue all the way to the other, and then on your way back again, return it to the middle bookcase. So at least you are seen moving in the correct directions with the book if they don't remember exactly where it came from. But it looks like we're going to get a quick redirect off of the briefcase before we head back over towards the yellow side. And we're not heading into the green bookcase from this direction, so it's going to be interesting to see what we do with this. Just back into yellow, it looks like.
Yeah, this is a very passive play, but I mean, we saw with Nebula, you can afford to take innocent drinks, you can afford to take innocent books out as long as you have a strong game plan. Really, the only way to finish 3 missions very quickly would be a fingerprintable middle statue that you're willing to swap, and I don't think that's exists or is advisable. Purloin would definitely help here. The list is
All
not
right,
going to
it
be
is a
fixed.
green test per. What is that?
He requested, and now,
Oh,
yeah.
it was a cheeky little move trying to reset the guest list, but Nebula was paying enough attention to Toby that he was on top of it. Not enough pressure on the ambassador to make that kind of thing work.
Yeah,
And
if you're
that's
if
going
you're
to put
watching it,
Rov.
if you're watching it, that laser was sitting there for a good 15 seconds. The laser did not move from this situation, and Rov still committed to it. And this is kind of the issue with the time thing, right? Like, if he had more time, maybe he goes, "Well, that laser's sitting there. This is a terrible idea." But I mean, look at the clock. We only had 17 seconds. He had to do something, and he goes for a very clever double, like purloin into take shenaniganery. It's just very much on camera, very much seen.
Yeah. I like the idea, but you just need a little bit more time on the clock in order to make that kind of thing work. Nebula up by 2 after the first pair of games, getting back into the spy side of library where he made the magic happen last time. Let's see if he's able to do it again in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, one of the things I really love about Nebula's spy play is it doesn't really feel.
Oh, that's a bug! That's a bug
Oh,
in the time of
that
chaos.
was.
He bounces off to get back into conversation with the seduction target. I don't know if that was seen. It looked like the laser was right there.
I would bet you Rob actually saw it. So Rob has a nasty habit, and it makes casting slightly harder, where he doesn't highlight people that he is highly suspicious of for hardtails. And the reason why he does this, other than like it makes the replays harder, like it's harder to scout them, but the main reason he does this is when you put your laser on somebody's head right after they do something suspicious, it dramatically changes how they're going to approach the game. Because if Nebula knows that he's highlight and that he did not get away with the bug, he has very little incentive to now go do a bunch of other obvious things because he just knows he's going to get shot 100% of the time. Rov didn't give him that pleasure, did not highlight him, but Nebula is on screen suspiciously a lot of the time here.
Yeah, and when you're using time ads as sorry, not time ads, when you're using highlights and lowlights as memory aids, as so many snipers do, you don't need to highlight your top suspect for something like this because you know who they are.
Yeah, I I don't personally. This is a skill that eluded me, but the players who've come in. I mean, these guys are both veterans at this point. To say that they're new is a joke, but the players who came in and understood and with a competitive mindset and immediately learned how to memorize things have treated this game very differently than the old hats my age, where we just didn't have that mindset. We had to use highlights for memory because we didn't really like just grow up with it, if you will.
So by this point in the game, we've gotten the bug done. We've gotten 2 flirts to bring us up to 85%, and we've gotten the 1 fingerprint from the green bookcase there. So
Yeah.
making pretty good progress mission-wise, but oh, this time ad.
Yeah, so it's a white time ad. So the difference between a white time ad and a green time ad, the white time ad just adds 45 seconds directly. The green time ad does some timey-wimey stuff, where the clock ticks slower. The white time ad's definitely easier to notice on the fly, but the snipers at this level are definitely always checking to see if the clock is going slow, especially on a map like on Library.
That's a second print off of the green bookcase, and it looked like we had Rov sort of indicating Smallman a little bit. Now, sometimes people will do that to sort of bait the spy into thinking they're safe, but for the most part, that is a pretty good indicator of suspicion.
Yeah, shoutouts to Old Hat Magician who would do spy shakes. Especially on the spy side, you'll see it more, where
Banana
they'll just
bread.
shake the camera in frustration. We've all kind of taken over it. I think this small man highlight or low light here for being out of the banana bread is going to give some pleasure, but we're still seeing the sniper just like not happy with the situation, and being
Banana
down
bread.
2-0,
Banana
it's
bread.
concerning. That's 3 banana breads. That's too much banana bread. You're gonna get a stomachache here, buddy.
And a pretty low profile highlight on Nebula as well. I think Nebula's got very high suspicion at this point in time. He does have the print done. He's got
He
4 missions in the books right now, so
He's 2 seconds away from winning, to be clear. He is next to a yellow bookcase, and if there's a moment that Rav lets his guard down, he could slam it in there. If he's going to leave his guard down is a big question. I don't think there's that much that he's watching. There's a couple of highlights, but they're all conveniently just nice and stacked in one conversation. It's not like there's much for him to watch. Rav is just going between Nebula and the rest of the highlights.
we've got about a third of the party low lit at this point in time, maybe a little bit more.
Hmm. I'm curious what the timing is meant to be. Lazy Bear in chat mentioning the last deck and something crediting to me. I appreciate that. It's one of the only 2 plays I've ever like tried to make. Uh, the idea of a 0 second dump is when you do it at 0 seconds, the sniper is usually already lining up a overtime shot, and so when you dump it at 0 seconds, you make it quite hard. We did see Irish go middle statues there, but he's not willing to shoot for that. This is the last 30 seconds, though. If anybody does something suspicious, it makes the sniper very unhappy. Pearls might go to statues here. I think it's gonna just be us putting this book in here very late.
Well, here we go. 15 seconds and in it goes to yellow. Immediately the shot comes off. Rov 100% on top of things.
Yeah, and unfortunately, and this is always happens when the game gets to the last moments, is you're completely up to how the AI want to move around the party. We didn't have that many suspects, but none of them were going to statues. None of them were taking drinks. There's few things that could give us a bit of relief while we try and slam this book in. Uh, Good idea, but I'm happy to see Rob on the board. It means we get to watch more Spy Party.
Absolutely. Rov now stepping into the spy side of Library versus Nebula's sniper on 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, and as much as we're going to compliment Nebula's spy, I mean, they're 1% different on their sniper rate this season. Nebula has 77% rate, and 77% rate is across all venues. Library, with its 5 missions, means that the spy just has to do a ton, and is definitely going to be above 77% on Library.
Yeah, it's just a hard mission. It's just hard venue, sorry, for the spies to get away with one on. There's so many missions that it's very unlikely that the AI will find themselves in a situation where they're finishing. And you just have so much that you need to get done that you're likely going to be on screen for some of it.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that this venue is harder for newer players is you can really only see 1/3 of the venue at any time. And the idea of balancing where you keep your camera, where you keep your laser, is not easy. Um, but these players have, I mean, we saw Nebula's number, right? 21K. If we split the venues up, that's probably about 2,000. That is literally a ton of games on Library.
Not going for any early contacts there, just a few too many people walking around. So we were going to take our 34% flirt from early on and just head off to the bookcase to see if we can get a little bit of progress on the books. We are going to take an animation transfer, which is a bit less favorable of a way to do this mission because it takes longer.
Yeah, so there's two different ways to do the microfilm mission. Both of them are very risky, but the benefit is there is no like trace. If you get away with it, you got away with it. We're gonna, with the green one done, need to go to either the yellow or the blue and slap that book. And we really want to get a green animation, both because it's more subtle, but also it's quick. On a map like Library, you do not want to be stuck in a 3-second animation because that laser will pan over and it will see you and it will shoot you.
Yeah, absolutely. The green test, of course, makes that animation a lot more subtle and harder
Yeah.
to get caught on, but it's still there. You can absolutely get a look at it, usually with that right arm going down to grab the microfilm.
Yeah, in the pocket for sure. We have nothing done. I mean, obviously the microfilm's half done, the flirt is half done, but none of those words are green, sir, and we are already more than half our time done.
Yeah, we're
I
under
see.
2 minutes to play at this point, and we only have one flirt. We're going back into the blue bookcases to try to get this transfer microfilm done, but we we have so much to do.
We can slap the book here, and the sniper has other things to watch, right? They have the ambassador and Toby are both on the right side. Hoo, 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 hoo. Watching the
Just
sniper side, that
barely.
was close, but very well timed by Rav. The only issue, he still has to do 4 more missions.
Well, into the statues we go to start getting some of this progress. We're able to get a green test on the flirt while we were there to bring us up to 85%. And this is going to be a duo of inspects as well, both in one cycle. So, very good action tests coming out of Rav, able to get all that done so quickly. So, he's at least given himself an out at the end of the game with the inspect swap. This is going to be the seduction getting done,
Yeah.
but we've got to find a contact and then the inspect swap, or another mission and then the inspect
Oh
swap. It's going to be the
no.
purloin first. It is extremely on camera. Nebula got an easy look at the fade, which makes for an easy shot, and they come out of library up 3-1.
Good job to Nebula, but a really unfortunate thing was happening there. If you're watching through the sniper side, you could see there's a additional buttons that the snipers don't always use for Q and E, and it helps you lean and it helps you like see over a character's shoulder. Cowboy was at threat of swap. There was a real threat of Cowboy, and unfortunately, the laser was just sitting here ready to catch the purloin, purely because, or not maybe purely, but in part because we were just watching for a swap on a different character. Uh, there was no reason to pan unless we were concerned about the ambassador. But a bit unfortunate, but really, this is going to be a theme throughout the match. Rov needs to get more done early, or we're going to be put in these tough spots where we don't have any control over the party.
Speaking of control over the party, it's time for things to get a little bit more chaotic as we move forward to Tayen. Any 4 of 8 with a very occlusion heavy venue. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Nebula has picked Wheels, which has an obvious benefit in that he is kind of just covered. Not necessarily the same level of Smallman, but he's just the second lowest profile character. I really liked Wheels on Tayen when I was playing, because he has the best microfilm cancel animation. Uh, I didn't like ever doing a white microfilm on Tayen, but I really didn't mind doing a green. So what I would do is start up a microfilm. If I didn't get the green that I wanted, I would walk away. This animation is awful on every character except for Wheels, where it's only quite bad.
That's amazing. So into conversation with the seduction target early on, we're able to open with a 51% flirt. Ambassador has been playing around us a lot as well, but Nebula has not decided to bite on an attempted bug yet. That's the flirt getting done in 2 as well. So back-to-back greens, getting the flirt nice and finished up early. A pretty wild path into the green bookcase as well.
Yeah, when we talk about the concept of a rush, the idea of trying to finish before your opponent is really ready to shoot, one of the biggest components of being able to do so in a smooth rush is getting a very early seduction target and getting that flirt done. Because then if we do in spec swap, we do banana bread purloin, we do some combination of flurry of missions, we have finished. A true rush of just doing a bunch of hardtails in a row is something that these players will only pull out if they're really trying to bamboozle their opponents. I think more likely you just get set up by hitting 2 green flirts, which these players are very good at their action tests and are going to be doing.
That was a
Hopefully,
very good bug attempt, not quite able to come up. Why did we do it again? What just happened there? Was that an
uh,
attempted Twitch bug or something?
I'm not 100% sure. This game's hard. Uh, we see like our top mechanical players. Someone like Opie Wrights comes to mind. Rav actually comes to mind in the spy side these days. He's just very good at the mechanics of it, and they still make mistakes on the regular. This game is just a little bit hard to control. That felt like a bug opportunity there with the ambassador
It
coming
did.
behind us. But I suspect Rav also thought it was a bug opportunity. We're just kind of in like the premier location and with a premier character, and
We need to
Nebula
get
could take
moving
it.
though. We're down under a minute and all we've done is this flirt. We are so low on time. There's been so many good bug opportunities that Rov could not reasonably have seen. And now we're going for a purloin? Especially a white test purloin? That's a difficult situation to be in.
Yeah. The chat's mentioning my silly microfilm stuff. It only really works if both of
Oh
the
my
bookcases.
god,
Oh
the shot
no!
comes off on the fake contact!
Okay, what happened here? I mean, it's Tayen, so flirt, obviously the contact, bug, but why was Disney on top of the list? Did he do statues? I don't see it. Maybe fingerprints then? Because I don't. He's been in conversations most of the time.
Oh,
Or
he was part of the purloin chain.
oh, Purloin Chain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it must have been bug, Purloin, banana bread, and flirt. I mean, this is the power of doing visible missions, though. With a purloin done and a contact done and a flirt, Nebula's in this really powerful position here where a civilian can easily get shot for a not perfectly tracked purloin, or he can just finish. And by
I
not,
don't know if he could have finished is the thing.
I mean, a banana bread bug, for example, in spec swap, like that, he has the ability to finish, but he's given himself the opportunity. I don't think he necessarily has the opportunity to finish and not get shot. Uh, But with Disney dead, 34 seconds, we'll never find out. Nebula's solved the puzzle before we found all the pieces.
So already a second spy win coming out of Nebula. We've seen their spy win percentage and how incredibly high it is, how much they're able to get around what the sniper is expecting. Rov has not yet found a way through Nebula's sniper. Let's see if they're able to do it on Tayen in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, just to finish up a thought on the Nebula spy. Spy wins beget spy wins. When you're able to pull off all these different ways of winning, be it like a very late finish or like making them force a civilian shot, you get into the sniper's head about how you're going to play the next game. And that's really not what Rov wants to be doing. Rov just wants to be playing his own game. Rov's own game is the best in the game when it comes to sniping. So uh, I don't suspect Rov will do that. Historically, Rov has been very solid and always been able to bring it back just with his level of play. No bug. And I don't think it would have stuck that time.
I don't think so either. 51% off of the early flirt and immediately steps away into conversation with the double agent, but hasn't taken anything as of yet as far as this contact is concerned. Just waiting for the conversations to fill up a little bit more before he pulls the trigger on that.
Yeah, and when it comes to Tan, we're looking at a couple things, right? You got the Shoji that are blocking different locations, so I think this is actually the same setup that we had last time. And you're also looking at where the ambassador is. This ambassador at the back is just always going to be threatened, like somebody like Queen who's coming near the conversation now, like Rocker. Nebula's heart rate, Nebula's just attention is being pulled by the threat of the ambassador compared to the ambassador just walking out in front and you're like, get to take a breath. That'd be lovely, but he's not going to do that for you. He's a jerk today.
Yeah, there are quite a lot of people you almost just sort of have to assume could have gotten a bug past at this point.
Okay, seduction target? No, 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 no. Uh, AI luck is a big part of this game, and I thought the second target was coming in, slotting into our conversation, but nope, that's still a bookcase in it. As again, Rav, while down in this set, is also just down in this game. We just don't have any completion.
Conversations are starting to fill up pretty nicely, though, so we might be able to get a good contact off here.
Ambassador really likes these blue books. It's like going to the library. You're just gonna like read a chapter every time you go to the library. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to pull it out.
There's the contact.
Banana bread.
Oh, two people start moving right before the white test finally triggers.
Queen needs to highlight. We avoid it, but then we also haven't done anything. So why
Yeah, we've
would we
been
highlight?
just sitting in this conversation for the entire hecking game. We've gotten one flirt right at the beginning, and then we were just waiting for this contact for like 2 straight minutes.
I'm not 100% convinced we have to do much. Our seduction target, the reason that we haven't been able to flirt with them is that they keep on going and doing things. They've pushed towards the briefcase. They've been following the ambassador fingerprints. If someone like Kane does go to statues late, or we can get them to take the list or something, I could definitely see a civilian shot happening. And if we purloin here, who the next person's going to be if we do a green test is very much up in the air.
Well, it's
That's a
not a
white
green
test,
test,
though.
though. It's just white. Saw the fade. Takes the shot. Rav, yet again, not able to get anything by.
Not much to say this, but we'll at least mention what a fade is. The white test and the green test of purloined have a different animation, and at this top level, they're the top players like Nebula are very much able to see the animation and go, "That was a slower animation," which is the white animation. So, Rob, especially doing it near the front of the party, doing it here when it's exactly the sort of time that purloin would happen, is definitely going to be watched, and the fade's going to be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. On to the next one. Nebula up 5-1 at this point is starting this match off in commanding fashion, and back into the spy side they go in 3-2-1, playing it.
Yeah, to add here, so this is a best of 22. In short, it's the first player to win 12. If we go 11-11, we'll talk about overtime. I don't think we'll need to, though. If Nebula keeps up this pace, this will be a quick job for us, Tobo.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. Nebula playing very, very strong. Has already gotten 2 past on the spy
Banana
side.
bread.
Only given up 1 game. Early contact is not something you usually see because that gives the sniper less to look at throughout the rest of the party, but it was a pretty good one, all things considered. 3 lowlights is not fantastic on this venue, but it's nothing to sneeze at either.
Yeah, I don't think that's a banana bread that Rov takes, for example. But then Rov has also been in time trouble every single game. So, uh, juggle your eggs. I don't know what you want.
Absolutely. 34% off the first flirt. Here's the second, another close white to bring us up to 60. And there's the bug coming across. I don't think Rob was able to get a look at that, so that's a hard tell, done and dusted.
Yeah, I think that bug was very clean in its execution and like visibility. Nebula just really on the ball, seeing the ambassador coming and hitting that bug. I am a bit suspicious that Rov doesn't at least smell it, but seeing it's a different issue.
Well, when it's the ambassador that comes up to you instead of the other way around, it's a lot harder to attribute a bug, especially when you didn't actually see anything.
Yeah, I talk about a concept of wind up. when you're like walking at the ambassador, especially at the end of the game, you like spend 5 seconds just walking at the ambassador, what we call like a dive bug. The sniper just sees it from a mile away. When the ambassador comes to you, it's instant. Like it is, you need to be ready in this second or
Ooh.
you're done. That's a fingerprintable statue, perhaps? No,
That's
maybe not.
not a fingerprintable statue, but he face planted into the ambassador on the way in after he's already gotten the bug. So that's
Quick put down.
that's just a shot.
Yeah, so there's a couple mechanical things that happened there. I didn't like the put down. You didn't like the walk in. But really, Rob doesn't have to care about the mechanics. He can just count. Seduction target, if we'd hit green test, would have potentially been done. Contact, uh, he didn't necessarily see the bug, but he definitely smelt it. And middle statues there with the 2 cycle. That's 4 missions, and Tayen requires 4 missions. Very good shot here from Rob, and a nice comeback or start of a comeback. We definitely needed to be sniping. We did always need to be sniping here. Well, if you're Rov, because that's the basis of his game. That is his foundation of his gameplay. Is win sniper games.
This venue is going to be one of Rob's better opportunities to get a spy game past Nebula. So if they can't capitalize here, they're going to have a long road ahead of them trying to climb back into this set. Let's see what they can do in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, we did mention during the draft that there's a lot of venues.
Oh no!
Did we crash? Oh no.
Yep, we sure did.
Okay, let's talk about the mechanics here. So there's a very popular play and a very successful play when you spawn right next to Toby the waiter, where you try and do a purloin. And if you can green it, there's a flash on our spy. We're in trouble.
Oh no.
If you can green it and walk away, it is one of the hardest things to catch. And the reason why it's so hard is we're trying to find Toby, we're trying to find the ambassador, we're trying to memorize these statues, and that we're probably the third most important thing at the party. But that in that
Green
first
purloin.
second. Okay, now the purloin happens. We're dead in 30 seconds, by the way.
Yeah.
But since we tried to do it and then didn't hit the green test and then walked away anyways, we caused this loud crash. And then it is very loud if you have your sound settings up. List is
That's the
gone.
purloin.
Nebula
There's the
does not
tape.
have to shoot immediately.
But it does.
It does. And I don't blame him. So you can wait for another few missions. Don't wait too long because Tayen is not the easiest to get a shot off. But with the loud crash and the pin down, we had 10 low lights after the crash. So not only do we know who it was, but we also knew a lot of people it wasn't. That was always going to be a tough game for Rob, and it's a real pity because he just had a nice snipe.
Yep, it's a shame indeed, but we're ready to go on to the next one. Aquarium is another venue where the spies can get a lot done. So if Rov can start to cotton on to Nebula's plans a little bit, start holding serve a little bit better, this might be an opportunity, one of the few opportunities remaining to really start pushing Nebula a little bit harder. It's 6-2. Let's see what Rov is able to do from the sniper side of this in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, so this is a really curious doubled venue. So Nebula doubled it. So Nebula obviously likes the venue. Rav really likes Aquarium, is very proficient what we call the shark walking and the plays that you do on as a spy on Aquarium. So this is with Rav banning Balcony, that was a bit of a favorite in Nebula, who probably wasn't going to pick it. And with Nebula doubling Aquarium, a bit of a favorite of Rav. I think they went even in the draft picks. And if it's even in the draft picks, but Nebula's just playing better today, I am a bit concerned. I want to watch more Spy Party. Come on, Rav, you got this. You haven't done anything. Don't shoot anybody.
Lots of Spy Party still to play, especially in this game, because Nebula literally hasn't done anything, hasn't even talked with their seduction target. No progress at all as of yet.
Yeah, so when you're playing a game of Spy Party, some games have a lot of people doing a lot of things, and some games don't. Everybody is in conversations right now. So if we go to a statue or we go to the bar, we're going to be noted. Compared to a game where everybody's doing everything, everybody's making a lot of noise. you actually have two options in that game too. It's just a better situation
Time
because you
ad.
either can rush
Double
or you
time
can do
ad.
nothing and somebody will get shot. Double time ad, a man from my heart, one white, one green, and
Largely, but not entirely behind the shark.
yeah, and it was actually really well timed. I was just mentioning the noise that comes with the party, and it was really quiet when I started that. And then 30 seconds later, during that ramble, three people were at statues and we're doing a time ad. So really good choice there by Nebula. And I think maybe because the party was a lot louder at that moment, decided to do two. Uh, we always want to give our spies the credits because it turns out after we have the conversations with them, we didn't give them enough credit. It's usually even more things that we've missed after a cast that we find out.
There's the first flirt finally coming off in this game. A nice close green for 51%. Also in conversation with the double agent, so we might be able to get something off here. It's not going to happen. Rov doesn't give it the opportunity. A shot comes off, but it's not the right one. And Nebula goes up even higher.
I'm trying to figure this out. So Rocker did visit two statues back to back. Presumably got a flirt pairing. That's still only two missions. I think this is just a lot of respect for Nebula's ability to do shark walks, and really afraid that Rocker could do something cheeky. Because this is a very early shot. Um, Perhaps maybe also like just incorrect suspicion on time ads, but with 3 minutes on the clock, obviously there were time ads, so that's not really true. Uh, just a very early shot, and I'm really hoping that's not indicative of a bit of tilt.
It might just be Rov really starting to find themselves with their back against the wall. There's still SpyParty to play, but time is ticking down on Rov to start pulling this back. If they can't find something in Aquarium, it's going to be almost impossible as Rov steps into the spy side in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, so we often have a conversation about spy paralysis. So, especially during competitive and especially against top players, bug? No bug just yet. Now we bug.
Just shut, but the shark.
Yeah, welcome to
Rob,
Spy Party.
why?
When I said Spy Party is a good spectator sport, it's kind of like chess in that like you can have a 10-second checkmate. Like Spy Party games can be so short, or go on for 8 hours, right?
Right.
In the case of chess, for Spy Party, I mean you could time that infinitely, but sometimes you bug, sometimes you get shot. Unfortunately, the first one didn't stick, so we had to be a bit more do it again, basically. And by that time, the shark had already moved out of the way. Yeah,
That
get scholars
hurts.
made it.
I feel like in that situation you just have to sort of be willing to accept that the moment is gone, you've missed the shot. Go get a bug later.
Yeah, I had things I wanted to mention. We're in a new game. We can still mention them here now. Let's get this started. I'll do one for us today in 3, 2, 1. Playing it. Got to get my opportunity because we might only have 4 more games with 8-2, and we're playing to 12 basically. Nebula is already moving towards having a victory, which is ridiculous. They went 8-8 in their regular season match, and so this is
Yeah.
not what we expected.
Yeah, Rov is having a rough night of it. It's got to be said. Nebula is playing very well, but there's just a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes coming out of Rov.
Yeah, and so there's one thing that happened on the Taeyan game where he didn't have to shoot Rav. He could have waited a few more minutes. But what Nebula did by shooting more or less immediately, with the first confirmation of the purloin, is get back into more gameplay where it, Rob hasn't had a breather. Rob hasn't had that moment of like, okay, I found the spy and I get to take 2 minutes. I get to take a deep breath. Nebula has just continued to be on the gas, both in his gameplay, and the way that he has been playing, which sounds like gameplay, but whatever.
51% on the flirt and grabs a delegate on the way out to the bar. Back in the conversation with the seduction target we go. We'll see if we do anything with this delegate, but the flirt is going to come first, and it's a close white to bring us up to 85%. So one more flirt from anywhere will get that done, and we're not doing anything with the delegate, at least not right away.
I thought we might do it on the way here. So the bar is empty now, but don't be tricked. There was like 6 or 7 people who were at the bar earlier.
There's the delegate.
This will not be the easiest cleanup here for Rov to like whittle down the party after this purloin goes off.
Flirt getting done. I believe we got that delegate off in plenty of time, that this should not be in any issue. Indeed, it's not. List is gone. And as the shark drops in to say hi, we might not actually notice that the list is gone for a little bit of a while here. Difficult print off of the blue bookcases as well. Nebula is getting a lot done and not a lot of stuff that's easy to track.
Yeah, with difficult print, just to explain the mechanics, that's when somebody's already smudged the print. We're the second person to touch the object after the ambassador. But in this case, by hitting a green test, and then doing this additional green print in the
Second print, there's the swap as well. That was the first statue visit, so it's not an inspect swap. Very clearly,
I'm going to stand here.
Steps away. Rob is not going to see it in time, and Nebula gets yet another spy game through.
Okay, double green test fingerprint and a cheeky swap. So we have these ideas of green tests, right? Green tests are good. You could do a green test swap here. Nebula says, no, white test is better. I'm going to stand in front of this statue. You are not going to be able to see this thing until it's too late. Rob probably saw it in the last second. He is that sort of player. He is that good. But Nebula not giving the opportunity for Rov to be great. Both just with the pace of play here, a nice early finish, and just continually doing so. He's been so solid on his sniper side, allowing him to have this fun, to be honest. I think is the best word for it as a spy.
And that puts Rov back onto the spy side of Aquarium. There's not much left to say about this. Rov desperately needs this game. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Tobo, if you're in Rov's situation, what are you doing? What's your first line of defense, being down 9-2, spy and Aquarium?
I think I'm well past my first line of defense at this point.
These are the privates just in the trenches, just covered in mud. Yeah, that's up. I'm doing time at, so you know what I'm up to. 51% here on the flirt, and Rov in like the best position on the map, but he's gonna roll out of it.
I think at this point, really what you've got to do is make a big change about how you're playing, because it's very clear that the previous strategies are not working. I want to see Rov start playing a much faster spy game.
Yeah, I think Rov is very much capable of not shooting civilians. He's shot 2 this match. And the second one, very much respecting Nebula's play here on Aquarium with the rocker shot. But the spy play, I mean, he never really has changed it. He's just been so solid in sniper typically that he hasn't really had to. And maybe that's a downfall. If he tries to change it now, it's not necessarily his natural play. Rov might be low on options. Banana bread here is going to be pretty good. I think that's only like 2 lowlights.
Yeah, I think so.
Disney and red.
We've got 1 at the bar, 1 at the books, and no other movement from Nebula other than that. So just the 2 lowlights is a very good contact on this venue. And into the bar we go.
Yeah. Chat also mentioning that Rov has been getting shot for purloins. White tests versus green tests are a big deal in this game.
It's a straight take.
Huh. We're gonna see lowlights on people it couldn't have been. People it couldn't have been very much include people who haven't been to the bar. And this has put a lot of threat. The idea, Rov could obviously finish, but with Banana Bread said and Purloin done, the threat of somebody like Rocker who's going to statues now if we saw the exact same swap from Rocker, though she's an AI, she's not going to swap, but the threat of the swap, yeah, here we go. Prove my point.
Rav is not a very tall character. He could very easily do some crazy shark walk shenaniganry, wait until the shark comes back across, crash bug the ambassador, and never give Nebula a shot. Nebula, I think, has to take this shot before the shark gets on a low path.
Yeah, so if Rav, for example, had taken the bug, and
the shot does come off early. Nebula knows he was under the gun and really needed to catch someone before they were able to get behind the shark. That was the shot he wound up taking, and that's going to be Rov's first spy game of the match.
Yeah, and there's 2 highlights. With Rocker not doing the swap after being watched, and I was going to mention that there was an opportunity to maybe bug during that moment that he was zoomed in on the swap. But patience. I mean, Rav is going to cause these games by just playing a slower spy. You put a ton of pressure on your opponent, and with even only just having 2 highlights, but contact and purloin done, you are going to get some wins here. I don't think necessarily this is full credit to Rav. Just this is a sniper mistake, always. But Aquarium does this to you. Like as you mentioned, the shark is a very threatening thing when you can walk behind it.
And Rov is probably, that's going to put Rov well on their way to getting their feet back under them, at least as far as mentally is concerned. They're probably not going to be able to lock that in unless they're able to pick up the sniper win here and convert on this spy game they just found. But Nebula's spy is not necessarily the easiest one to convert on as they step into the spy side of Modern 4 of 8 in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
One thing to note here with Modern, just like Aquarium, we don't have a tray for the list. Our waiter is going to be at the bar, and we just did see Rav pull off a good victory because of a bar, and we've seen him lose a lot when he's tried to pull the list off the tray. So I think Rav is going to be a bit happy that he doesn't have to do another potential green purling off the tray.
So first flirt is from a very significant distance. Green test for 25%.
Yeah, for anybody who's watching on YouTube, chat is spamming reverse, aka reverse sweep. They want to see Rav bring it back, and Rav is both a capable player, able of winning a lot of games in a row, but also we just want to watch more Spy Party. Rav, please win some more games so we can go the full distance.
To be fair, we have seen some absolutely absurd comebacks in the past at very high levels of play. It looks bad, but it is doable.
Yeah, the player who beat both of these players this season in OP rights.
Probably the most famous one, yes.
Yeah, 8 in a row. 8 in a row here. That would only put you at 10-9 or 11-9. It still wouldn't be a victory. But I mean, it's very much doable. Spy Party is such a mental game that when you win one game, it definitely changes your odds for the next game for the better.
Picking up the delegate, but not picking up the drink as we step away from the bar. We did get a second flirt while we're there to bring us up to 76%. Nice close green. And pulling out a blue book as well as we step into conversation with the double agent.
Yeah, I'm curious if this is going to go back in...
There's a delegate.
Probably
to the double
green.
Agent as well.
Double agent purloins are so interesting. Because it doesn't result in an additional suspect, right? When you do it to a regular person, at least there's 2 people it could have purloined. When you do it to a double agent, the result is you are the only person.
Yep, you are the only person. The double agent takes the guest list, and Rov is immediately on top of it. The shot comes off, and Rov, at this point, is back in this match mentally.
Yeah.
They've got their feet under them again.
And this is the exact sort of game that you want when you're making a comeback. Just a nice, simple, I found the spy, take the shot. Honestly, if I'm in this spot as Rov, I would consider like just taking 30 seconds, just waiting for the next mission to be able to just compose yourself. But it is also just really nice and a really nice spike of just the good feeling chemicals to shoot the spy when you've been struggling to do so for a bit.
Absolutely. On to the next one. Rov on the spy side of Modern versus Nebula's Sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Okay. Modern, unfortunately. Oh, that's just a tell. Modern is a very hard venue for a slower player to pull out a late finish. It has been done. I've uh seen it plenty. But as a general rule, the map is just so big that you need to walk a lot. You need to be in a position where you can finish comfortably in the last minute, or you're going to spend 30 seconds walking across the venue, and it's just going to be sadness. Rav needs to, if not do finishing missions, at least needs to start getting their flirt done, maybe more timely than they have, or we're going to be in a real tough spot.
And it doesn't look like Rov has any plans on doing anything of the sort. No flirt progress as of yet, not even really attempting anything.
Yeah, Smallman. I I love Checker for building Modern with the right side for the window time ads, but it does make these very sad situations where your seduction target is now gone from the furthest place in the venue from you, which is that corner, to the other corner, and it's not even like just at the green bookcase. It's at the very far right of the green bookcase. Cause screw you, man.
Just forlornly staring at him from all the way across the venue, hoping to catch his eye.
Yeah, he's too far away. He can't see your puppy dog eyes.
Does finally make his way over to a more available position. Rov does not appear to be interested.
Now, Rob has done a lot of these like, pathing cancels or briefcase cancels, to go places, just respecting Nebula's ability to shoot for pathing, look a bit more AI-like. He always wanted to go touch his seduction target,
You
and
really
Touchy
wanted
has
that to be a green test.
yeah, he needed that.
So it's only going to be 34% after missing that green. 2 minutes and 5 on the clock, and that was our first bit of progress in this entire game.
Yeah, so there is the idea of a frame, and I think Modern, more than almost any venue, is good for it. If you can purloin to the right person, if somebody's been to two statues or done two fingerprints, especially, and you purloin to them and you give them a contact, and presumably they've flirted, unless you're really watching for that, you can get a civilian shot. We've seen plenty. The problem with that is you have to pay a ton of attention to the party to really know who that would be. And you have
Pathing
to rely,
was
you're relying on the sniper making a mistake, which is at this level a fool's wish.
second flirt done to 85%, and into the green bookcase as we go. We're able to get a print off of it and pull out that book. So we might do something with this later on, but as the time starts to tick down, there's not that much later we can afford to do it. Back into conversation with the seduction target. We'll finish that mission up. That's our first completion. We need 3 more.
I have a suspicion you're going to be rambling for about the next minute. Rob just needs to turn on the jet.
Oh, it's Ambassador.
Okay.
Ambassador. There's the bug.
That's desperate.
It didn't take. It was a pretty nice bug, all things considered, but just a tad too far out. Bug
We
does not take.
had the book in hand. It makes
Banana
it so
bread.
much harder from there.
Fake contact, unfortunately, in with a suspected double agent, unbeknownst to Rov. Fingerprintable briefcase, though, is going to be something to work with, so that's a second mission completion, but without that bug, it's going to be very, very difficult to get this done. 15 seconds to play.
Yeah, and it's so concerning for
Banana
Rob
bread.
from our perspective,
Banana
where
split.
Nebula is just taking these low lights on the banana bread. He's
Slams
not.
the book. It's going to be
Come on.
2 seconds of overtime, which is not really enough to do much with if you're not already lined up for it. Nebula does not seem to be lined up for it, and that is actually going to be a completion for Rov.
What happened here? Are these guys just not on their fingerprints today?
I think that must be the situation. Neither of those prints were difficult.
Yeah. Just two clean fingerprints. I mean the book was cooked. We've had that book for a long time. It feels like Nebula, but like he was so calm during the banana breads. I think he just had no suspects and was just kind of waiting for a purloin or a bug or a swap. But we avoided those 3 missions. And we avoided inspects too, which would definitely give you a top suspect. I think we might have found the 4 perfect missions to get
Yeah.
under the cover that Nebula was putting up.
Never went to the bar, never touched the statue, just never put themselves in a very, other than that bug attempt, never put themselves in a position to be dangerous at any point in time. And when you're not on the sniper's radar, sometimes you can get away with stuff.
Yeah, and we've won, I think, 3 of the last 4. If we equals Rov, team comeback, really, because calling it team underdog is a mistake. Rov is not an underdog, no matter what the scoreline shows. So I think this could be called a momentum shift, but down 9-5, a momentum shift isn't necessarily enough. We need to go like momentum nitro if we're gonna even tie this up, let alone win this.
Oh, we casters love a good comeback. Let's see if Rov is able to keep it going on the sniper side of Modern in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I feel like we're seeing the same 5 characters over and over. It's a lot of Smallman, Alice, Rocker, uh,
Wheels.
Wheels. Yeah. And why not? At this point, who's the data for? We're in the final. If somebody's
Ladies
looking,
and gentlemen, we've gotten a 17% flirt. It's happened.
yeah. What, what's a real life 17% flirt? Like it's still a flirt. They're still into it, but it's like the lowest level of flirt. Like is it just you're attractive, but you ask them about the weather?
Probably something like that, yeah. Also was in with the double agent for a little while there, but that conversation kind of exploded. The bug on the way out of conversation. It was so nice.
Yeah, I was lucky to
It
catch.
was
Oh, come on,
nice. Rob on top of things, and that is going to bring it all the way back to 6-9.
Nice. Nice shot here from Rob. I'm mad about it because reward this behavior. This is such a sick bug. But Rob just doesn't care, and Rob just wants to get into the next game. He's feeling himself. For good reason. He's now 1-4 the last 5.
Oh my god, that bug was so pretty. Started sitting in conversation, leaves conversation as the ambassador comes through. It was wrong arm. It was so good, but not quite enough to get past Rov as they continue the momentum coming back into this set. Back onto the spy side they go in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah. Hey, my
Oh,
man.
damn it!
My man.
The slow play has been working, so let's slow play even harder. Into the conversation with the seduction target to start off the festivities after that, and a quick green for 51%.
And chat is excited. They've been waiting for the cane to come out. I think historically. Oh, come
Oh!
on.
Okay!
What do these guys know
Goodness!
about? Someone in chat, hit me up. Is it the time ad, or do they know something about visiting bar? 'Cause that's the second time somebody's touched this bar pad and has just died for it. Uh,
No,
just
that has
just
to be the time ad.
yeah, just looking at the window, there's nobody else it could be. Uh, and the only person who goes to window afterwards is a general who's a suspected double agent. The time ad shot does add up. That being said, bar is illegal. That's my theory currently.
All right, so that puts Nebula at 10, but the ball still definitely feels like it's in Rov's court as he steps into the sniper side of High Rise, any 3 of 6. And Rov has shown that they like slow spy games. This is the home of them. Let's see what Nebula can do with it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, so we got no swap, no fingerprint. The big one here is going to be microfilm. Mainly because it makes you have a reason to look at the green bookcase, just looking at the right side of the party in general. unless you're doing like a purloin on the balcony, which is very unadvisable.
We've
Generally,
already
we're going
got
to
a
see
center statue visit.
disgusting. And we've got that and Duke. It's always curious with center statue visit. Your incentive for Nebula is to slow down. You want to give Twin the full opportunity to do stupid things, be in conversation with you and the double agent, for example. Or we just take the 32% and then leave, which had a tell associated with it. Maybe Nebula doesn't care about Twin. The
Well,
reality is, though, when somebody goes to middle statues early, it's often not the spy, just because it's such a ridiculous thing to do.
yeah, spies generally like to not be stared at for an entire game, and going to center statues at the start of High Rise is how you get stared at for the entire game. We did
If you're
get 32% off of the first flirt. That is barely still in 3 flirt range if you're nice and close for the next 2. But now we're in conversation with the double agent, waiting for a good opportunity to make something of that. Nope, never mind. We're just going to try to intercept the seduction target back in this front conversation. Not able to get the bug off, though. And dies for it. Rav is in this set.
Nebula has had so much success when they haven't chosen to do the bug. The bug is definitely still, no matter how many times Nebula has not done the bug, top of Rob's radar, and Nebula trying to keep a balanced diet is just getting shot every time they do the bug and not getting shot when they don't do the bug. I think unlike Rob, Nebula has to be slightly less willing to press buttons.
Yeah. To be fair, that was not a pretty bug.
No. And we've seen pretty bugs still be shot, so
Yeah.
consider it. You're not gonna like turn bug off on high rise. Like, don't go extreme, but the threat of bug is enough at this point. Let's do
In
some
this
more high rise.
case, as Rov steps into the spy side, it's no fingerprint and no microfilm. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, even more so. Swap, not really a mission that you want to be doing.
Nope. Wasn't quite able to get in there.
Swap isn't a mission that you want to do on high rise. But you do love the idea of the sniper having to rotate over and look at these statues that are otherwise covered when an AI is there, because it gives you a bit of leeway to do things like the bug or the purloin. Just having the laser not just sit over the left conversations and able to watch all of your flirts or your potential contacts is nice.
31% flirt at the blue bookcase is not quite as high up as you'd like it to be. It's just barely in range where you now need to hit a green test on one of your next 2 in order to get the flirt done in 3. But that's usually not an issue. This is a bit of an early contact coming off, though it's a pretty good one, all things considered.
Yeah, these guys hit enough green tests that trying to like highlight for a white test banana bread isn't necessarily advisable. But that really looked like a white test banana bread from Rav, from my perspective.
Back into the blue bookcase we go to put this book away. Keep in mind microfilm is off, so this is not a suspicious place to be. And likely once we're done here, it's just going to be back in next to the seduction target to keep working on this flirt.
Yeah, Pofsky kind of proved my point and why it felt like it was a white banana bread. With people leaving, it wouldn't have been taken if it was a green. 31%. I mean, Rav can hit his greens. He's been hitting them less, especially the ones that really matter today. But flirts aren't like one that you're like high stress about. Your hand isn't shaking to get your second of 3 flirts.
But he does get his second of 3 flirts on a green test, so up to 82%. Yep. Literally anything except the worst flirt in the game will finish that up now, so he does not need to worry at all about his positioning in the last flirt, which is
happy
nice.
To see Rob, as soon as offered a drink by Toby, just walks away. He's learned his lesson today. No touchy.
Into the green bookcase we go, interestingly enough. No prints, by the way. So no fingerprints, so these really are purely for losing heat. Oh, trying to not be seen at the statue going for the swap. I like the maneuver, but Nebula catches it. The shot comes off.
Yeah,
I like that play a lot, whether or not it worked.
Yeah, you were saying he's at the green book innocently, and I was like, no, I know what's coming here. And you could see that the sniper was ready for it. He was ready to check the statues, and obviously ready for it with the shot. Great idea. But on high rise there aren't that many ideas, and I think the snipers know about this one for sure.
Yeah, Nebula back on the spy side as the momentum starts to dissipate. Nebula at 11 to the 7 of Rov at this point. Let's see what they're able to do from the spy side in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, we have a maximum of 4 games before we go to overtime, but we have a minimum of 1. Nebula can win it here with a win in any of the next 4 games. Ballroom or Rov's pick, which I don't recall. Do you remember it, Corvus?
I believe it was Gallery.
Gallery, yeah, that's thank you. Oh,
So
good job,
4
Togo.
match points. Rov did get that comeback started, but has a ways to go to complete it. Nebula was able to get 51% off of that early flirt. I doubt they'll do anything with this drink. They do actually take an innocent drink, which you don't see spies do all that often.
I mean, we saw it on Library, right? And we still finished, and we finished in a way that really felt like we had more suspicion. We would have been shot. Against someone like Rov, maybe not necessarily as necessary, just because Rov is very much more camping. He's very much looking at the hardtail locations. But it's a good thing to put into your gameplay, and I think Nebula can easily gulp this in the second drink anyways and be fine. Not going to, actually. That's 2 sips in a row.
Green test on the second flirt from quite a distance brings us up to 84%. But no other progress as of yet. We're just waiting on this seduction cooldown to get the flirt finished up.
Yeah, and while we've seen a lot of combo plays, we've seen the players find very different ways of doing 2 missions in a row. Ballroom, all of the tricks are known. There's no unfamiliarity when it comes to ballroom, because this is often a player's like top 3 most played venues, because it's just such a playground for both
Yeah.
players, sniper and spy.
Ballroom is the original SpyParty venue. This has been here since the dawn of time. In conversation with the double agent now,
Banana bread.
contact comes off. We'll see what the reaction is. It's 1, it's 2, it's 4 lowlights, including Smallman.
I mean, ooh, and the Purloin. This
And the
is
Purloin!
Red Dress, another reject. This could actually be the game. A highlight has rejected, a contact has come off,
And the
and
highlight's leaving.
another.
And this chain is still going. Does Smallman take? If he does, he'll be able to see the fate a little bit more easily.
Is it gonna be
Sees the
Red Dress
list
or Spy?
drawn. What's the reaction? This could be the end of the tournament, and indeed it is! Rov takes the wrong shot, and Nebula is your SpyParty Major League Grandmaster champion.
Woo! GG's all around. I won't necessarily say that Rov played every game great, but he was on a roll there. And for Nebula to finish it up here, be able to clutch out a green test, and do it in a spot where he's standing next to some of the top suspects in the party, including the obviously shot Red Dress, is a lot of heads up play, both to just have the nerves, complete the play, and to see the play. That is what it takes to be a champion here in the highest of highest levels of Spy Party competitive play.
Yeah, Nebula just played a very, very strong set. I think there was some very good play from both sides, but Nebula certainly earned that win.
Yeah, Nebula was somehow both more solid and more creative at the same time, and I'm not sure I've really like had that thought or said that much before, which is kind of indicative of a champion, right? If you're able to just kind of encompass everything it takes to be a top player, congrats, you're now the top player.
Yeah, absolutely. Also of note, Nebula, the person who was organizing this tournament.
Yeah, this is a long tradition. We've seen Crazy Kaylee originally was the runner of SCL and won many seasons. We've seen Opie Wrights
I believe
take
all of
over
them.
all of the ones he was in. We've seen Opie Wrights take over the cups, and now we've seen Nebula, who, I mean, thanks for hosting the tournament. I think anybody who's been inside of it, been inside this league, has had a good time and enjoyed the work that he's put in, because it's been a lot of work, especially on the casting side.
Yeah, absolutely.
But continues the tradition of making it feel like it's rigged, because best player goes and wins it. Not best player, the runner, but also is, as far as I'm concerned, definitely the hottest player. I think Grov is always going to cause fear in other people's mind, but we'll give Nebula the crown today, and he can defend it from the peons of the world.
But with all that being said, we are done for today. I hope you guys had a great time. Thanks a ton for coming out to watch. If you are new here, this game is SpyParty. You can get it on Steam or at spyparty.com for $25. If you're new-ish here and are interested in getting into the competitive side of SpyParty, go to discord.gg/spyparty. There's always new events popping up for all sorts of skill levels. You're going to have a good time. There's lots of people who are going to be more than willing to help you out. Thanks a ton for Nebula again for organizing this tournament and doing so much for the casting. Thanks to Corvus for being our host and observer this evening. Thanks to you, Pwned Noob, for casting with me.
Likewise to you, Tobo. And one last shout out from me. We already mentioned Nebula, but just everybody who's been on the back end, and I think one that we really need to mention is Silver. Uh, just between him and Nebula, I put in a ton of work and love into this tournament. And while I personally dropped out of it, it's been really fun to watch and really fun to cast here today. And just the top level Spy Party. It's really nice to see these top heads run into each other without having it be like pools of a tournament. It's just a very high level stuff. And again, congratulations to Nebula for pulling this off. Rov will take silver here today and should not feel that bad about it, because Nebula played so well.
This whole tournament has been an absolute joy, and we hope to see you all in the next one.